Hey, welcome back. Now we're at the R&D Center here at Magnaflow with Richard Wadis. I've been virtual drifting all morning in San Hubinet's 2010 Challenger. But since we're in the R&D Center, why don't you show us some of the newest technologies coming out in our vehicles these days?
Yeah, actually, we take a lot of what we've just learned from our race teams, and that's what the Casey Currys, the Sam Hubinets out there about durability, and of course building a product that can survive that really radical environment thing. As we do a lot of competitive analysis, and a lot of times what we get from the field, whether it's the exhaust shop who's trying to build that on his own, or watching what our competitors have done to try to build a component to fit in that same situation.
Yeah, some of the competitors just aren't quite living up to it. Now, they probably got the flange and the outer location in about the right spot, but this is a pure fail. I mean, look at the flows here. You've got 90s, 90s, 90s. You've got impingements. You're obviously going to have heat and thermal stress issues, as well as, I mean, you can just plainly look at the thing and see that performance is going to drop.
And that's just it as well. We're not necessarily worried too much about performance. We want that engine to deliver the horsepower that it was designed to. In this design, you can see there's going to be problems with that. On top of the fact, we're going to see those kinds of stress-related failures we saw on Sam's car when the heat accumulation and the welding wasn't taken into consideration in design.
Right. Now, material is always important, too. So, you know, even then we had stainless material. All the OEs are going to stainless because the longevity of what the emissions need to do in the vehicle is absolutely critical. So in the old days, we used to use aluminized tubing. Now we're stepping up to the higher grade stainlesses, and you can even see here the old crush bends, but you guys are what, all mandrel nowadays, right?
Yep, we're going with mandrel and stainless.
Yeah, so, you know, some of the interesting new designs that are coming out, some of the new technologies that are found in your vehicle, we're going to take it to the next step, but we're going to take a break.
Every artist has their specialty. Mine just happens to be hot rods. I don't consider it to be a Foose design until the engine sounds as great as that car looks. Every musical instrument has its own sound. Hot rods are no different. Magnaflow Performance Exhaust gives me that perfect sound. Now it sounds as good as it looks.
All right, well, these guys are getting bigger, and they got a brand new facility, so we're here to check it out. And as always, it starts from raw material. These guys are making everything in the States right here in California, and you got to ask yourself, how do you do business in the States anymore? You get smarter.
We've got everything from the coils to make the basic things of the bodies, the stampings that we have for our catalytic converter line, all the way up until the coils that we use for making our mufflers.
You're not worried about can you get the material, what shape does it come into you at? There it is, you guys make it all the way to the end.
Absolutely. The first thing we're going to pass here on the left, you're going to see is our basic stamping department. Here we have all our presses. This is where you see all those proprietary collector designs that we've come up with. All start off as raw material going through these machines. Basically, this will take what we have as a raw piece of stainless steel, run through, actually stamp our name into it, shear it to the right length, form it into the actual either oval, round, or whatever shape's necessary, laser seam weld it, and pop out the other side what looks like pretty much a muffler without ends. And as you can see, the seam weld is all laser controlled. You get a nice even weld, the penetration is very good. And it actually allows for a surface that we can manipulate like in the spinning machine or even in other objects that we have.
Now we got our tube, seam welded, we've stuffed it with our catalyst brick. Now Richard's somehow going to magically show us how they form it into something completely different.
And this is what we're looking at here, is basically this machine is capable of taking that end form and creating what we have here in the finished product. It actually rolls all the edges and extrudes the end out until you actually get what started off as a 16-gauge piece of material to something that's actually much thicker and much stronger. These are our muffler internals, and you'll see a little bit of what we got. We've got the steel wool packing. That's there to actually protect the acoustic packing material that we put around it. We will take this part here and actually put the acoustic packing material around it, stuff it, and actually shove it into the body that we just rolled at the other machine. This is the big fun machine. This is where you can actually watch the part that looks almost like a muffler go from something that's a bunch of assembled parts to the part that you open the box and see, which is completely welded on all sides, including the body and the actual nipples that go into it.
Cool, so on the other side of there, I got a finished muffler?
Absolutely. So once the mandrel bending's done, we actually take it in this cell and it goes through its trimming operation. So we can cut it down to the right size for the fixture and then actually finish off with all the proper informing that goes on.
Nice, so you can keep everything within a good working cell.
Right, in here we can actually work with much smaller build quantities at the same time have just as many finished goods come out the door all finished.